No DQ Galaxy. We are live with the NoDQ.com recap of Survivor Series 2022. Shout out to the early birds. Kayfabe Games, the This Guy Experience, Lee Samples, Michael Wayne, Steve-O, Adrian, Philippe, Walter Cruz, of course. Thank you all for tuning in early. Matt Helms as well. Walter sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. Says, I know it's late, but let's share the video. Word of mouth goes far. Say yes to no DQ. Hashtag stick to my shtick. Get the hands on the merchandise and feel merchy. Well, thank you for that, Walter Cruz. I appreciate it. So, how was Survivor Series? WarGames. I will say the intro was badass with Ozzy Osbourne singing his classic War Pigs song. One of the best intros for a WWE Premium Live event in a very long time as far as I'm concerned. Awesome start, and then we kicked it off hot with the women's War Games match. Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. Damage Control, of course, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Let's talk about the women's match. Michael Cole and Corey Graves made sure to go over the rules for the match. Nikki Cross was being crazy. She was climbing up the cage up on the stage where the participants wait until it's their turn to enter the match. You had Bianca Belair and Dakota Kai starting off the match. Bianca Belair, the team captain, starting for her team, which doesn't happen all that often, at least from what I can remember. Bianca got the upper hand. Now, Bayley's team did have the advantage, which meant that it was 2-on-1 in favor of Bayley's team. You had Io Sky coming in there, and then Asuka evened the odds. We got to see Asuka going at it with Io Sky once again. And then Nikki Cross came in. She started bringing the weapons into the ring. And I will give a little bit of criticism. I think in the future, it should be like what Impact Wrestling did with the Lethal Lockdown matches. Have the weapons and tables wrapped around the cage, so you don't have to do this whole deal where somebody comes in and they have to spend like a minute or two pulling weapons from under the ring and throwing them inside. We saw this in both matches. I think in the future, they should just have the weapons hooked up to the cage and people can just go and grab the weapons. That was one thing that TNA did that I thought was smart, having the Lethal Lockdown and the weapons all available at any time during the match. We then had Alexa Bliss coming in. Alexa Bliss going after her old tag team partner. And Nikki Cross did the first big spot of the match when she climbed up to the top and did a crossbody all the way down onto everybody. And I will give WWE credit. They were careful with the camera shot to make sure it wasn't so obvious that everybody was standing down at the bottom waiting to be caught. Props to the WWE production team on that one. Bayley then came in and started bringing ladders into play. Ladders brought into the ring, a table, which the crowd very much appreciated. Bayley used the table to pin Bianca up against the cage. Mia Yim, Jeff Meechin came in to even the odds. Everybody was down, and then Rhea Ripley made her entrance, started cleaning house, and then finally Becky Lynch made her grand entrance as the final participant of her team, and the War Games was on. Apparently, the match officially starts when everybody's in the ring, but does that mean for 25, 30 minutes it doesn't technically count as a match? I'm just wondering how that works exactly. I'm a bit confused. They talk about on commentary how it's the start of the match when the bell rings. So whatever. I think the whole thing should be considered the match, but that's just me. Match cannot end until everybody is in the ring. So Becky was taking out everybody, turned her attention to Bayley, called her a bitch, wanted her to fight. Bayley did fight her. And then Rhea Ripley had a face-off with Becky Lynch. Becky was taken down, but the pin got broken up. Asuka helped out. Asuka busted out the green mist, used that on Rhea Ripley, and that pretty much took Rhea Ripley out for most of the match from this point on. Bayley hit the rose plant on Becky Lynch right in that middle steel plate between the two rings, but the pin was broken up. And then Io Sky climbed up to the top, did a big moonsault off the top of the cage onto Bianca and Mia Yim, a.k.a. Jeff Meechin. Crowd really enjoyed this spot. They chanted, "Holy shit," and they did their first "This is awesome" chant. Nikki busted out some handcuffs and tried to use them on Alexa, but that plan did not work out for her, and both of them were taken out. Rhea Ripley and Mia Yim ended up crashing through one of the ladders that were brought in. And then we finally had it down to damage control. All three members up against Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. And somehow, some way, Becky and Bianca managed to fight off the opposition. They hit their finishing moves on Io and Dakota. Io and Dakota were laid out on a table. Bianca Belair hit the KOD on Bayley, slammed her into the cage with it, and then Becky Lynch went up to the top and did a big leg drop off the top of the cage. They have a platform set up, by the way, so the wrestlers can do these big high spots off the top of the cage. Becky did the big leg drop off the top, putting Io and Dakota through the table and pinning the tag team champions. It is what it is. It's Becky Lynch. They're building her up for WrestleMania. I tried to tell Walter Cruz this. Once Becky's in the match, Bianca's team is winning. Like, I was very confident on that. And sure enough, they did pick up the victory. Becky Lynch winning in her first match back, and seemingly she'll be facing Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, could LA Knight ask Alexa Bliss for help with Bray Wyatt? Might as well. Alexa Bliss, is it just me, or did she not seem very enthusiastic about this match? Like, she was there doing her thing, but on SmackDown, she seemed like she was kind of going through the motions. Who knows? But it feels like Alexa needs something creatively other than just walk into the ring with the doll and acting like the old Alexa Bliss. I'm not sure. She needs something. But very good match here. I enjoyed it. I would not say it was one of the best War Games matches of all time, but it was very solid, entertaining, and I think it went down about as well as you could have expected with the people involved. And I think it was the right finish and not too much to complain. Like I said, the biggest nitpick I have would be the whole deal with taking a long time to bring in the various objects like the tables and the chairs and the ladders and so on and so forth. We then had AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. And before we get to that, This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, my God, Becky is effing annoying. She is not interesting. Well, I think it's better now that she's back to being a babyface, although she came out there still kind of with that Lady Gaga vibe. And on SmackDown, I did not get that. But here on this show, I do think she needs to drop like the pop diva look and go back to more of the old style or do something different. You don't necessarily have to go up against you don't have to go back to a previous version of your gimmick and try to recreate that. But I think that the whole pop diva thing, that was what it was for her heel run. I don't think she should be doing it now. And Canadian Slapnuts sent in a $2 super chat, says, say yes to no DQ or your mom takes it for free. Well, let's not get carried away there, Canadian Slapnuts. I'm not that extreme, but thank you for the super chat. Now, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Balor was wearing a black mask. AJ Styles also had a match. This was a mask. I think I said match. I meant mask. Michael Cole was bringing up the history of these guys, and he even referenced the Bullet Club. You had the OC out there. You had Damian Priest and Dominic out there. Styles and Balor had a feeling out process in the early part of the match. But then Balor started getting more aggressive. He shoved AJ Styles. And Styles targeted the leg of Balor, and that was a main story of this match. Balor would get the upper hand for a while, but was selling his leg throughout the match. And then AJ Styles started to build up some momentum. By the way, Leatherface, I did not miss your super chat. I'm saving it for when I talk about the main event. I will get to it, though. I promise you that. When Styles started to build up some momentum, you had interference from Damian Priest and Dominic. OC counteracted that, and they sent Priest and Dominic over the barricade, and they all fought through the crowd, and that was the end of them. And it was down to one-on-one. AJ Styles and Finn Balor went back and forth. Balor tried to hit the Styles Clash, which never works when you're the heel trying the babyface's finisher. Doesn't really work out that well. Styles avoided that. Styles also avoided the coup de grace. He applied the calf crusher. Balor somehow managed to escape that. But then Styles hit the phenomenal forearm and scored the 1-2-3 victory, ending his pay-per-view losing streak. And I did bring this up when we did predictions. AJ Styles had gone 3 years without winning a match, a singles match on a pay-per-view / premium live event. And that's why I felt like Styles was going to win here. As red hot as Balor has been, I think Styles needed this win more. Match was good. I don't think it was great, though. I'm not sure what was missing from it, but it felt a little lackluster. I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't like an all-time classic, in my opinion, and I did not feel all that invested in it until the very end. And the very end, they kicked it into high gear, but it took a while. And, you had the outside interference throughout. So yeah, it was a good match, but felt like a good Raw TV match. Didn't feel like a Big Four all-time classic singles match, in my opinion. Next up, we had Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and this was not so good. They They just don't have that chemistry. A lot of things they did looked off. And it was a very predictable match, too. I mean, going in, I don't really think anybody thought that Shotzi had any realistic chance of winning. And then furthermore, Raquel out of action due to the attack by Ronda Rousey. So it's Shotzi out there by herself against Ronda Rousey, and you got Shayna Baszler out there on top of that. And it was the usual, the interference. You had Shayna Baszler getting involved, and Shotzi would take her out. Shotzi went right after Ronda, wasn't holding back, but the crowd just wasn't invested in this match. It was a bit rough. And at one point, Shotzi tried to hit a DDT on the apron, and it did not connect at all. Ronda was holding onto the rope, and it looked bad. Crowd started chanting for Sasha Banks. That's how much they cared about this match, that they busted out a Sasha chant. And then they started fighting in the crowd. Shayna and Ronda were sent over the barricade, and Shotzi did a crossbody off the barricade onto them and a couple of plants that were there in the front row. And then the fight went back into the ring. Ronda Rousey hit the Piper's Pit and then put on the armbar and got the victory. And yeah, it was what it was, and it wasn't too good. Definitely the weak point of the show. Then we had a triple threat match for the United States Championship. And this is when things started to get back on track, so to speak. Shanti in Hawaii sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, I loved the PLE, but why don't they use both rings in the non-WarGames matches? This was a WCW thing where they would alternate rings for each match. But yeah, theoretically, they could use both rings. I think in WCW, some of the guys did use both rings. Like, I'm not sure if it counts in both rings, and the rules may have changed from year to year, but there may have been a point where the pin or submission could happen in both rings. I really don't remember. And it is possible that the rules changed from year to year in WCW, and that they may have even changed in NXT. If anybody out there is certain of what the actual rules were and if they were consistent throughout history, leave a comment and let me know if wrestlers could go for a cover in either ring at any point in time, or was it always where wherever the match started, it had to be decided in that particular ring? Somebody out there let me know, because I really don't remember. So anyways, this triple threat match for the U.S. title, Seth Rollins defending against Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory. This was a great match. These guys totally killed it. Very entertaining triple threat match. And the action stayed hot and heavy. It never really slowed down. They kept the momentum going, and everybody got their chance to shine. Lashley was beating the crap out of both guys for a while. And then on the outside of the ring, Theory got the steel steps, used them on Lashley and Rollins. And then Rollins got his chance to get in some offense. He hit a series of dives, suicide dives to the outside, and then hit a big dive over the top onto both guys. Crowd was loving Seth Rollins here. They were cheering him, humming to his song. Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, if Seth Rollins is that over as a face going forward, can you really do him versus Cody one-on-one at WrestleMania if that's the plan? Thank you for the super chat. And I'm not sure that is the plan. I still am not convinced that The Rock is showing up for WrestleMania. And if he's not, I think it has to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. We'll see what they do. I mean, we could always see Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes again, but I want to see them go at it for the WWE Championship. And I'd like to see Cody go up against a new opponent. Like, we got the 3 matches with Rollins. I don't think that they should be hooking up so quickly when Cody comes back. I say keep them apart for a while and eventually do that match for the WWE Championship. And you could even do face versus face. Darren G sent in a generous $9.99 super chat. Thank you for that, Darren G. I appreciate it. Says, No DQ Galaxy. Like and share this on social media. Also, super chats are usually appreciated, but if you send one, please stick to the topic. Aaron has expressed this in the past. Enjoy the rest of the night. I appreciate the PSA, Darren G, to everybody out there, and this is just for future reference as well. I do try to answer the super chats at the appropriate time, hence saving on leather faces for the end, so I'm not bouncing around all over the place going off topic. So the match continued here, and Lashley applied the Hurt Lock to both Rollins and Theory at the same time, which was pretty cool. And then Theory sent Rollins out of the ring. Lashley applied the Hurt Lock. Theory countered the Hurt Lock into a pinning combination, basically using the momentum from the turnbuckle, the old Steve Austin, Bret Hart finish from the 1996 Survivor Series. However, Seth Rollins came in with a big frog splash. Crowd really liked that. And then Rollins jumped off Theory's back and hit a curb stomp to Lashley. Rollins then hit the Falcon Arrow, or at least was attempting to hit the Falcon Arrow to Theory, but then Lashley came back with a spear to Rollins. But as he hit this spear, Theory fell right on top of Rollins, and Lashley could not make the save in time. Theory got the 1-2-3 victory to become the brand new United States champion, just a couple of weeks after failing to win Money in the Bank. I guess this is the rehab for Austin Theory. One could argue he needed this more than Lashley and Seth Rollins. I did like the finish because it protected everybody, really. It made Rollins look strong in defeat because he got speared and he was dominating most of the match. And Lashley, of course, hit the move that caused the end of the match, but he could not make the cover. And Theory inadvertently stole it. But yeah, he is the champ. And it did get a mixed reaction. Some people are happy about it, some are not. They're trying with Theory. They're going in a new direction with him. He is still teasing a match with John Cena. We may end up getting that after all, even though it looked like maybe it wasn't going to happen. But yeah, awesome match. I really enjoyed this one a lot. And I would say it was the best of the non-WarGames matches, and maybe better than the women's. It was perhaps the second best match of the show. Now, we move on to the main event of the evening. The time for talk is over. Actually, it's not yet, because we had a few backstage segments leading up to the match. Roman Reigns met with Jey Uso backstage. Or should I say Jey met with Roman. Jey warned Roman about Sami Zayn, how Sami Zayn cannot be trusted. Reigns told Jey to be the right-hand man, and he would handle the situation. Later on in the show, Reigns met up with Sami Zayn, or summoned Sami Zayn, I should say, to his locker room. And Reigns flat out asked Sami Zayn about SmackDown, and asked if Zayn had a conversation with Kevin Owens. Zayn did admit it. And then Reigns asked, why did Zayn lie to Jay? Zayn said he did not want to put all that on Jay's plate right before the tag match. And then Reigns wanted Zayn to look him in the eyes and commit to the bloodline or say that he's not on their side. Zayn's response was that he is with the bloodline and he will not let Reigns down. Reigns stood up and gave Sami a big hug, and that led to our main event. The time for talk now is over. It's time for the main event. Kevin Owens came out there wearing a Dusty Rhodes t-shirt in honor of Dusty creating the WarGames concept back in the 80s. You had Jey Uso and Butch starting the match, which I got right with the no DQ predictions. Figured it would make the most sense. The two workhorses. Jay's the right-hand man and Butch is arguably the workhorse. I mean, they're all great, but, you know, as far as going 35, 40 minutes, I think you can rely on Butch to deliver as far as having that longevity. So the two of them went at it for a while. And in this match, the Bloodline was at a disadvantage. The babyface team had the advantage. Walter Cruz says this was the best storyline in a long time. Love it long term too. Well, you're right. It is the best storyline in wrestling, and we still got a lot to come leading into WrestleMania. And now I'll read Leatherface's super chat. He sent in $5 earlier, says, Bloodline and Sami is the best storyline in wrestling and in years, hands down. I agree with you guys. This Sami Zayn storyline has really become one of the best long-term storylines. And I think that's why people were so upset when Kevin Owens had that little injury scare, because we want WWE to be able to commit to long-term storytelling. We do not want the company to feel like it's never going to work because of injuries or other issues. And if Kevin Owens had been pulled from this match, well, the match was built around this whole Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn storyline. So they really needed Owens here. That would have been a huge blow to the match if Owens was not able to do it. So anyways, you had the Brawling Brutes with the advantage, and it was a little odd with the psychology, but the fans loved the Bloodline. They were almost like the baby faces in this match, even though they're the heels. Ridge Holland came in to help out Butch. They double-teamed Jay. Jimmy was supposed to be the next one in, but Roman Reigns said no. Roman Reigns sent Sami Zayn instead. Sami Zayn came in, crowd chanted Sami Uso, and Zayn was stalling for time until Jay could attack Butch and Holland. Zayn and Jay started working together, but then they were having their issues. They were arguing. Drew McIntyre came in next. He got the upper hand, but then Jimmy came in. Bloodline regained control. More arguing with Sami and Jay. Jimmy had to be the peacemaker here. Kevin Owens then came in, brought chairs into the ring. We had a little tease of a confrontation between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, but then everybody else started fighting. And throughout the match, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn did not touch until the very end. We got the rest of the competitors in there. Solo Sikoa, Sheamus, and Sami Zayn was helping out Jey Uso on multiple occasions, saving him whenever Jey was in trouble. And then finally, Roman Reigns entered the ring. WarGames officially started. You had 5 people in one ring, 5 people in the other ring. We've seen this before, other War Games matches. Everybody started fighting, and Reigns was dominating for a while. Then the Brutes regained the upper hand, and all 5 members of the Brutes did the 10 beats onto the members of the Bloodline. Crowd was loving this. And by the way, like I said earlier, the weapons were brought in at one point during one of the entrances. Then we had a little miscommunication where Jey Uso accidentally super kicked Sami Zayn. Oh crap. Trouble in paradise. Match continued. Usos hit an avalanche 1D onto Butch, but Ridge Holland broke up the pin. Reigns ended up spearing Holland through the table that was set up in the ring. Then Solo put McIntyre through another table with the spinning Solo. Owens hit a stunner to Solo. Reigns then came in and broke up the pin. And at this point, it was down to Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. They went at it. Owens hit Reigns with the pop-up power bomb, followed by the stunner. Owens went for the cover, 1, 2, but before the 3, Sami Zayn grabbed the referee's hand to stop the 3 count. Time stood still. Say that 5 times fast. And Kevin Owens was upset, trying to talk some sense into Sami Zayn. Jey went over to super kick Owens. Owens caught the super kick. And at this point, Sami Zayn showed his allegiance to the Bloodline. He gave Kevin Owens a low blow, once again saving Jey Uso. Sami Zayn looked distraught. He looked upset, legitimately hurt that he betrayed his longtime friend. But then he looked over at Roman Reigns, and Roman gave him the nod of approval. And that's when Sami Zayn hit Kevin Owens with the haluva kick. The crowd was not sure how to react to this, but they were loving the Bloodline. So even though they were upset at the betrayal, they were happy that the Bloodline was aligned and united together. And Michael Cole was doing his damnedest to be Jim Ross. He's like, Sami Zayn has sold his soul tonight. Sounds very much like something JR would say. And then Sami Zayn allowed Jey Uso to hit the frog splash to Kevin Owens. And that was it. Jey Uso made the cover, 1, 2, 3. And thanks to Sami Zayn, the Bloodline was victorious at Survivor Series. So I thought maybe they would have the split start to happen between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, but they're not doing it just yet. But now what I think is going to happen, this is my prediction at this point. I think Roman Reigns is going to betray Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn betrayed Kevin Owens, proved his alliance to the Bloodline, and now Roman Reigns is going to show his true colors and beat the shit out of Sami Zayn. And Kevin Owens will have been proven right. Sami Zayn will have to try to get his best friend to forgive him, and that'll be a process over a couple months. But I think Sami Zayn is going to be demolished by the Bloodline, and it all looks great now. Roman Reigns hugged Sami Zayn. Crowd was cheering. Jey Uso even hugged Sami Zayn. All is right in the world, but my gut feeling is Roman Reigns is going to do the thumbs up and then the thumbs down. Not exactly that, but something like that, where they are going to go uber heel on Sami Zayn and that's going to be the turn there, where Sami Zayn showed his allegiance and then they betray him anyways. Now, Adrian sent in a €5 super chat. Thank you for that, Adrian. Says, would you be open to the idea of Sami Zayn beating Roman Reigns for the belts, possibly at WrestleMania? I don't think that's going to happen. Here's my prediction again. I do think that the betrayal is coming where the Bloodline destroys Sami Zayn, not because they don't trust him, because they got their use out of him and they're done with him. And Roman Reigns is a bastard. I think it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber. Don't know if they're going to do the chamber match, but remember, that show is in Montreal. So you know that something is going to involve Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn on that show. I think it's got to be that. It might be Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns again, but I feel like Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns in Montreal would be red hot. And then Roman would ultimately win, but Sami Zayn will get his friend back. And WrestleMania, we get the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's my prediction at this point. Royal Rumble is when I could see something happening to set up the end of the Bloodlines association with Sami Zayn. This Guy Experience sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I thought Roman Reigns was going to beat him down tonight. He could have done that after the match, but we got the little feel-good moment. You know, let the fans milk it for a while and drink it in is what I meant to say. WWE can milk this storyline for a little bit longer and let the fans drink it in. That's what I wanted to say. Let it play out for a little bit. But yeah, I do think that beatdown is coming. Thank you for that. And the Game is on 100 sent in a $2 super chat. Says, I got 3 of the 5 matches right. Damn that Theory and Becky. Well, I definitely thought Bianca's team was winning when Becky got added. Theory, I did not predict, and I don't think a whole lot of people did. I believe like one person on the No DQ Predictions League picked Austin Theory to win that match. Now, DJW sent in a very generous $20 super chat. I really do appreciate it. He says, I understand the whole change of pace for Survivor Series, but I kind of wish they kept the champion versus champion concept. They could have had a lot of first-time matches like Ronda versus Bianca Belair, Rollins versus Gunther, or Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker. I do like the variety is what I was trying to say. I would be fine with one. I think for the future, for Survivor Series, they can do one champion versus champion match, one Raw versus SmackDown match. Doesn't have to be about the whole brand supremacy. I would like that, but more importantly, I would like the traditional Survivor Series match. Just one. We don't need 3 or 4. Just one traditional elimination Survivor Series match on the card. If you're going to do the WarGames matches, I would prefer one WarGames match, but they have to do the men's match and the women's match. That's just how they operate. But I would personally like one WarGames match, one classic elimination match, and then, yeah, you can do one champion versus champion match. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat. Says, man enough to admit choked up when Jey Uso hugged Sami Zayn. Well, there you go. It got people emotionally invested. And yeah, it was an oddly fun moment, even though they're all supposed to be heels, to see Sami Zayn and Jey Uso finally bury the hatchet. And that's what's going to make the betrayal even that more devastating, when Roman Reigns and the Bloodline just completely destroy Sami Zayn. I really feel it's coming. They're going to give him an epic beatdown. And then Sami Zayn's going to be the ultimate babyface, because this was a guy that showed his loyalty to the Bloodline through thick and thin, and then they kick him to the curb. It's going to be great stuff, man. Like other people have said, best storyline in wrestling, and we still got more to come. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, could you see Roman Reigns wrestling both nights at WrestleMania? Yes. And I've argued this before. What's going to happen with the Royal Rumble winner? I don't think The Rock is showing up at the Royal Rumble. I think The Rock, if he's doing WrestleMania, it's a one and done. And let's face it, if it's a one and done, nobody expects The Rock to win the title, nor should he if it's a one and done. So I think Roman Reigns should fight The Rock in a non-title match. But you got the Royal Rumble winner who's supposed to get the WrestleMania main event. So I mentioned this before, and I still think it's a possibility. Roman Reigns wrestles both nights. Night one, he defends the title, or even night one, he faces The Rock. One night he faces The Rock, no title on the line, but it's all about who the real head of the table is. And then night two, I would still do Rock's match night two, just because if The Rock wins night one, then you're going to think Roman Reigns wins night two. I would do the Rock match to close out the show, even though the WWE title should close out WrestleMania. But yeah, either way, one night Roman Reigns versus The Rock non-title, and then the other night Roman Reigns versus the Royal Rumble winner, which I'm going with Cody Rhodes at this point as my top pick. But, you know, we still got time. We got quite a bit of time, 2 months before the Royal Rumble. No December pay-per-view, which is still going to be interesting. I really hope they can come up with something to keep the shows fresh between now and the Royal Rumble with no December pay-per-view. I hope they do like a special or something. Overall, I did enjoy Survivor Series very much. I think I'm going with a B+. Main event was awesome, especially the angle at the end. Very well done. And I really enjoyed the triple threat. Women's WarGames match was good. Ronda Rousey's match was not so good. And then AJ Styles and Balor was good. So B+ for me. Not my all-time favorite Survivor Series, but better than most of the recent Survivor Series events, that's for sure. Better than last year. DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, KO and Sami Zayn versus the Usos at WrestleMania is good. You don't think the Paul brothers versus the Usos would be better? That is the only team I could see beating the Usos. I don't think the Paul brothers should be beating the Usos, number one. And number two, that's a Saudi Arabia match. You do that match in Saudi Arabia. Titles don't even need to be on the line. You know, Usos can drop it at WrestleMania and then fight the Paul brothers in Saudi Arabia. That could be a grudge match with Logan Paul trying to get some payback on the Usos and the Bloodline. I think you keep it simple as that, as Noah Foster would say. Yeah. Logan Paul and Jake Paul, if they're going to team up, I think that should happen in Saudi Arabia. And Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, what if that's how they split the titles at WrestleMania? They could do that as well. Cody Rhodes could win the Royal Rumble, and then because of The Rock coming out, it can be declared. Somebody can say something. Triple H can make a decision saying that Roman is going to defend each title at WrestleMania. One night defend the WWE title against Cody Rhodes, and then the other night defend the Universal title against The Rock, or switch the titles, whatever. But yeah, that would be a way to do it if they want to separate the titles again. Like, as I've said before, I don't even have a problem with the titles being unified. I just want the champion to appear on both shows every week and defend the title regularly. That's my big gripe. Like when I was supporting the idea of a unified champion, I felt that unified champion would be on both shows. This was before Roman Reigns switched over to the part-time schedule. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the recap. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube and spread the word. Share a link to this video on social media. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest wrestling news updates. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. We'll be back with the No DQ review Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Special Sunday night edition, fresh off Survivor Series. I'm sure we'll be talking more about plans and the fallout from Survivor Series. So stay tuned for that. Say yes to No DQ, everybody. Take care, and I will see you all next time.